Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a design pattern that can take a completely tangled, buggy mess of code and turn it into something clean, elegant, and way more manageable. Seriously, if you've ever felt lost in a jungle of if statements, this one is definitely for you.
All right, let's kick things off with a scenario that I'm willing to bet is going to feel painfully familiar to pretty much any developer out there.
You start with a simple idea for your character, right? Maybe a jump. But then you add ducking, then a dive attack, then maybe a charged-up special move. And before you know it, your code is this chaotic web of Boolean flags and super deeply nested if statements. It's a mess.
I mean, just look at what's going on here. We have flags like isJumping_ and isDucking_. Every single new move we want to add requires another flag and even more convoluted logic. This makes bugs almost a guarantee, because what happens when isJumping_ and isDucking_ are both true? That shouldn't even be possible, but the code doesn't stop you.
So what we're really talking about here is a concept called a finite-state machine, or an FSM. Our character can only be in one state at a time. The problem is, when you try to code this with giant if-else blocks or huge switch statements, you create these monster methods that are an absolute nightmare to maintain. You change one little thing, and who knows what'll break.
So, how do we escape this tangled mess? Well, thankfully, there's a much cleaner way to handle this. It's called the state pattern.
And here's the classic definition from the Gang of Four book that basically started it all. The state pattern offers this really elegant solution. It takes all the behaviors that are specific to one state, and it wraps them up in their own separate class. The magic here is that it feels like your main object is literally changing its class on the fly.
The core idea is actually pretty simple, but it is so powerful. Instead of having one massive class trying to juggle everything, you just create new, smaller classes for each possible state. So all the logic for jumping, that goes into a jumping state class. All the logic for ducking, you guessed it, ducking state class, and so on.
So how does this whole thing actually work under the hood? Well, it really just boils down to three key components.
First up, you've got the context. This is your main object, the one whose behavior keeps changing. So that's our game hero, or maybe it's a document in a text editor that can be in a draft, moderation, or publish state. The important thing is, it holds a reference to whatever its current state is.
Next, we have the state interface. Think of this like a contract or a rule book. It defines a common set of methods that all the different state classes have to implement. Maybe something like handle input or update. This is what lets the context talk to any state object without needing to know which specific one it is.
And finally, you have the concrete states. These are the real workhorses. They're the individual classes that actually implement that state interface. So each one is responsible for the behavior of one single state, like jumping state or ducking state, or even something like ready state for a vending machine.
And this diagram just lays it all out perfectly. You can see the context class over on the left. It has a request method, but instead of handling that request itself, it just delegates. It passes the call over to its current state object, which is one of the implementations of that lift state interface. It's clean, right?
So putting this into practice really comes down to these steps. First, you figure out what your context class is, and then you create that common interface for all your states. From there, you just start building out each concrete state, giving each one its own specific logic. The real magic happens when you add a reference in the context to its current state. That's what lets you replace that huge if statement with a simple call to the state object. And finally, you have to code the transitions, so states can tell the context when it's time to switch to a new state.
Now, if you've been working with design patterns for a while, you might be thinking, hang on, this looks a lot like the strategy pattern. And you know what? You're not wrong. Their class structure is almost identical, but there's a really crucial difference in their intent.
So here's the fundamental difference. The state pattern is all about an object changing its behavior as its internal state changes over its lifetime. It's like it's on a journey. The strategy pattern, on the other hand, is about giving a client a whole family of interchangeable algorithms to choose from, like different ways to sort a list. And, critically in the state pattern, the different states often know about each other and can trigger transitions. Strategies? They're almost always totally independent and don't know the others exist. Okay, so that's the what and the how. But the really big question is, how do you know if this is the right tool for your project? Let's look at a few really clear signals.
This pattern is an absolutely perfect fit when an object has a bunch of distinct states and its behavior is totally different in each one.
If you're looking at a class and you see a massive if or switch statement that's running the show, that is a giant red flag telling you to seriously consider the state pattern. It's also fantastic for getting rid of duplicate code.
But, and this is important, it's not a silver bullet. If your object only has, say, 2 or 3 simple states that don't change very often, using this pattern is probably overkill. A simple conditional might actually be clearer and more efficient. And it does add a tiny bit of overhead, so if performance is absolutely critical, you might want to stick with a simpler approach.
And this table here really gets to the heart of the trade-off. On the pros side, you get code that follows awesome design principles, like single responsibility and open/closed. Your main context class becomes super clean and simple. But on the cons side, you are adding more classes to your project, and you have to be careful that your state classes don't become too tightly coupled, meaning they know too much about each other, which can accidentally bring back some of the complexity we were trying to get away from in the first place.
And that really just leaves us with this final thought. Pretty much every complex object you'll ever write has states. The state pattern gives you a powerful tool to take control of all that complexity. It makes sure your code stays clean, maintainable, and robust, even as it grows and evolves. So the real question is, are you managing your states, or are they managing you?